Welcome back, friends. Today I'm going to share a river hunting video with you. It's one of the best river hunts that I've ever had. And along the way we're going to learn about things like how do you find glass bottles and things in the river, even when they're below the sand and the gravel. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you at the end on the cleanup. First marble of the day. The Cuyahoga River is a graveyard for stolen bicycles. Well, I have plenty of these embossed Pepsis. They say Pepsi right here, but I don't have any with the applied color label still on it. This bottle has all the indicators that it's super old. We'll take a close look at it on the cleanup. Just found this slick. It looks older, so I will take it back and research it. Wonder if there's any change in here. Dodge hubcap. I thought for sure this would be slick, but it does say it's Frenchies. There's a marble right there, but it is 100% across where the quicksand is. I'm going to try to rake it over to me. It's probably the safest way to do it. And then crouch straight down and pick it up so I don't sink. So I'll show it to you in a second here. It's right there. Let's go and get it back there. This appears to be a key fob. Oh no, that's my second cell phone. Not as good as the phones from the you know, the party spots with the inner tube people, but nonetheless that is my second cell phone of the day. I didn't think this was anything special, and it probably isn't, but it's interesting and it's whole. Here's a mixtape, probably Salt and Pepper and the Backstreet Boys. Small handmade clay item here. Bottles like these were usually made between 1880 and 1910. These ones look a little on the older side. A nice cobalt blue shooter. Unfortunately, it has a lot of dings in it. I don't know what happened to this little guy. I think his foot got caught in his panic to get away. I did release him afterwards, and he's okay. The Cuyahoga River will never run out of old milk bottles, soda bottles, and beer bottles. You do, however, have to know what to look for because they can be tricky to find. Here's a milk glass. It says Lord Estler, I think, Chicago. I'll research this. Here's a Coke bottle right in this little pool here. Is it a 1915 or a Christmas Coke? Let's have a look. That looks like a Patent D, Akron, Ohio. Well, I don't know what this is. Let's find out. Whew. All right, that's looks like about the 60s. Here's a nice old teacup. I did save it and clean it up. We'll look at it at the end. Fragment to an old plate. This guy had 1975 printed on the back of his neck. I usually save these things for Halloween and put them out. This is what you want to look for, just that small piece of glass sticking up above the sand and gravel. I think we have cell phone number 3. Ooh. All right. I'll have to try to figure out what kind that is. I think I got something really cool here. This looks like either a suspender clip or a shoe buckle. I see the little bar going across the center. Let's have a look at this. All right, what that is some kind of a pin. It still has the pin. I'm guessing there was something, yeah, there was definitely something in the center. This is ridiculously old though, so that's very cool. Glad to find something like that. Fishing lure. Looks like another all brass shotgun shell. Yep, that's what that is. Looks like another Coke bottle wedged under this rock. Let's put that out of the way. Have a look. Yeah, that one's whole. Is it a 1915? It's got good embossing on it. Nope. U.S. Patent Office. Where is this from? Detroit, Michigan. I don't have a Detroit Coke. That's the first one. It's at your own risk if you want to go snorkeling in the Cuyahoga. There is bacteria and things in the water, and I wouldn't recommend going in there if you have any sores, cuts, or abrasions anywhere on your body. Coke bottles of all kinds are common in the Cuyahoga River. I found 3 straight-sided Cokes last year, and here's a 1915. Well, I got one today. That is a 1915 patent Coca-Cola bottle. That's the first time that this design was used. Here's another example of all you're likely to see, just that little bit of glass. Wipe the gravel and sand away and do your recovery. This is going to be another big guy beverage from 1924. A 3 or 4 prong rake is a necessity when you're searching the river. What I'm listening for is a high-pitched, like nails on a chalkboard almost. When you hear that sound, you know that you're on glass. I've identified glass here by the sound, and it travels well through the water. And here's the bottle. Bottoms up. On my next raking, listen for the screech. This is what it sounds like. This bottle was under about an inch of sand and gravel, and I was able to locate it by raking and listening to what I'm raking. Yeah, you do rake into the glass, but usually it just buffs right off or wipes right off, so don't worry too much about breaking the glass. And if you didn't rake, you'd never find them in the first place. Can't find them with a metal detector. And here's a nice old soda or beer. We'll have a closer look on cleanup. Listen for the screech. There's another one. And this is a nice old med. And dump digging in the river, it's just like dump digging on land. You're using your rake when you're scratching on land. You hear the screech. It's not as pronounced as when you're doing it underwater, but it's the same principles. Look at that, another nice 1800s aqua bottle. Wow, that popped right out of there. That's a nice ball mason, and judging by the writing, it's as early as 1910. Here's a milk glass ponds jar. But when I start raking again, listen again. This is exactly what you want to hear when you're searching. Another cork-top medicine has manifested itself. Put it on the stack. Today's shaping up to be a good day. You ever approach a fish from above the water, they likely swim away. But it's absolutely amazing when you're in their environment, they don't care. In fact, they're curious and they want to get a look at you and check you out. And I don't know what kind of fish these are. If you're a fish person, make a comment and let us know what these things are. But they were everywhere. Men's cologne from 1962. The signs of a healthy river are the fish everywhere, the mussels I've been seeing that are over 5.5 inches long, and all these crayfish that look like small lobsters. Now on this next clip, you're going to see I was fanning the bedrock in the cracks, and look what I found.
Look at this. What the heck is this? Wow. Whoa. very close. What is that?
We'll discuss caliber and country of origin at the end of the video. Now you see me doing what I mentioned, fanning, and it's creating a current with your hand to lift out the sand and light debris from the crack in the bedrock. The cracks in the bedrock are where you're going to find where all the heavy items settle, like sinkers, or if you want to call them fishing weights, bullets, gold, silver, and coins. There's some heavy lead right there. This is a tag from an engraved bracelet, and it reads EMD. Here's the showstopper right here. This is an 1800s Wild West era milk glass spittoon. It was wedged under these rocks. I only saw a little bit of it, wiped it off a little bit, and then I was finally able to get it out of there, moving some of the larger rocks, and to my surprise, it came out in one piece. Wait until you see how this thing cleaned up. It's like new. And the fishing reel for the road, if that's a good one, let me know. Alright, where do you even begin with this? So many finds, a good portion of them dating back into the 1800s. Let's get the modern stuff out of the way first. Here is cell phone number 1. Cell phone number 2, a Cuyahoga, is very interesting because you could open this thing up like this and send a text message on your 1.5-inch screen there. Very nice. Cell phone number 3 is a Samsung. I don't know what generation this is, but I do know one thing. The SIM card and the SD card have been removed, so it was probably stolen and then thrown in the river. A nickel, 2 pennies, 3 marbles, a couple little ones right there, and this nice big cobalt blue shooter, which has seen better days. A little clay piece of pottery. I'm not sure what this does. You probably put incense in it or something. It looks like it was fixed to something in the past. A fishing lure, a cork top medicine. That one's probably from the late 1800s. A crock top or crock cooker, whatever you want to call this lid. I don't know what era that's from. It could be from 30 years ago. It could be from 120 years ago. Bunch of lead sinkers found fanning out all the sediment in the bedrock cracks. This is the American Eureka Lamp Company,
And what that is a part to a oil lamp. And they made these in the mid 1800s up into the 1900s. Here's a brass lipstick tube. Most of the ones that I find are from the 1930s, 20s and 30s. This one could be older, I don't know, but it's definitely an old lipstick tube. Here's a brass shotgun shell with the primer unstruck, and that one used to be pretty big. A lot of it deteriorated, must have been dropped in the river. This thing is pretty amazing, and I don't know what it would be used for. It definitely has a pin on the back. Trying to focus here. There we go. And that still works. So it just, judging by the look of it, it looks like it has some age to it. So that's pretty cool to find. There's an assortment of small milk glass containers. And I think this one might have been a cheese company. Yes, it was. So imagine your cheese coming in a little milk glass container. And that's probably 1890s to 1910s. I normally don't pick up these, like, what would this, a teacup. This one looks like it has some serious age to it. It is missing the handle here. But until I research it and learn a little bit more about it, I'll hang on to that one. You either find your soda or beer bottles looking all frosted over like this from tumbling in the river or creeks for a long period of time. And this one's a Summit Bottling Works, Summit County, Akron, Ohio, with the SB on the bottom. Or you find them like this. This is pretty clean. This one here was buried in the river. Had to dig around for this one pretty good. And this is Cresta Cola Bottling Company, Akron, O, registered, 7 ounces. On the bottom, it has the CCC, and you could see what a nice aqua color that this has. And the CCC, if that's Carl Conrad and Company, they made bottles like this from 1860 to 1883. If I'm looking at this right, because these don't have a space in between them, these C's. So I think that's the that would be the year range for that one. Let's see. Here's a Castoria. It's a screw top though, probably from the 20s or 30s. A whole host of Coca-Cola pattern or patent D bottles. They're all over the place. This one here though, to me, is special, because this one is a fairly good example of a November 16th, 1915. This is the first time Coca-Cola patented this particular type of bottle. You could see how the glass is a little uneven on the bottom. It has a really nice color, Akron, Ohio. And I didn't have an applied color label one like this. I think these are from the 60s or whatever. So I grabbed one of these since it was there. There was a whole host of big guy beverages, and this is the People's Bottling Company. And I found these before, and they have the P for the People's Bottling Company on the bottom, but these are from the 1920s. If I remember my research correct, 1924 is when they were making these. 4 of them. Whistle Cola, I have another example of this, and if I remember my research from the last one, and you can see there's still scum in there. I got to get that a little bit harder. But 1903, right around there, is where you find these Whistle Colas. I said Frenchies in the video. This is actually French's, is in the mustard. I have a French bulldog, so that's probably why I said Frenchies. But interesting, on the bottom, the patent date, you got February 23rd, 1915. So it's patented at the same time as the first pattern of Coca-Cola hobble skirt version. What else? The Ball Mason jar right here. That's a very nice aqua, and this particular styling of the handwriting goes from 1910 to 1923. and that doesn't have a chip on it. That's a pretty good one. Number 6 on the bottom. I know some of you guys research that. Let me know what number 6 is. And this medicine bottle, mold seam stops about here. It's got the units of measurement labeled on the sides. I really like these. On the bottom, it has a star. Some of you probably know what that star means. Let me know. I just had too many things to look up everything. And then this, I really like the pattern on this, and that it came out whole, and it's likely as old as most of this stuff on the table. So maybe that could be a, a vase for something. Flowers, maybe. This, some kind of old beer. I have no idea, but I don't recall them being shaped like this. This is a little stubby, so I'll have to look into that a little more. There's a Pond's milk glass. The Pepsi Cola with the applied color label. I was not able to salvage that label. It's the first one that I've found where I actually see the label. And I know some of you guys probably have dumps where there's probably 100 of these. It's the first one that I've seen with that label on it. Here is the beer. This is the Akron Brewing Company. And you could see sometimes this stuff is really hard to get out. I'm going to have to work on that one. But on the back, you have the A. Let's focus that. An A, B, and a C for Akron Brewing Company. And they usually have codes on here. This is a RGB code. I couldn't find that one in my book. But these are around 1890 to 1910 is a good estimation of where that's at. And then, let's see, here we go, the Baltimore Bottling Works. This, a little dinged up. It's got a 10 panel, sort of like you would find on some Hutchisons, and it's got these symbols on the bottom here. What I wanted to show you here from a prior hunt, I have another Baltimore Bottling Works Hutchison, and it has the 10 panels on the bottom and the similar markings. Boy, look at that color on there. This one still had the little popper in there, but I think that this was this one's a transition away from the Hutchisons, which were like 1880 to around 1910, somewhere around there. So I would put this right around 1910 or the 1900. Looks like a transitional piece moving away from the Hutches. What else? Here we go. Akron Bottling Company. Look how clean this thing came out. That's pretty good. It still needs a little bit of scrubbing, but you have a GR on the bottom. Got to look that one up. And this can be same thing, 1880s to 1910, I would say. If I get any of this wrong and you all know, please leave a comment and correct me. I won't be offended. This little tag fanning out the bedrock. How can we get that to focus? There it is. EMD. This is off of somebody's bracelet that they had, and they probably lost it a very long time ago. And let's see. Can't forget the old knife. Wouldn't be a river hunt without finding a knife in the Cuyahoga. A little bit of pottery here. Not sure of the styling. Nice aqua bottle, fairly early. The mold seam does go all the way up here. I just like the color. This is probably in the 1910s. And I'm saving the best stuff for last. You know that. I said fishing lure and lead fishing weights or sinkers, depending on what part of the country you're from. This thing right here, this bottle here, I'm going to have to get a light. Let me get a light and I'll get right back to you. All right, we'll start by looking in the neck of this thing. And you could see all the stretch marks. All those lines that are going up in there, they're like stretch marks, like waviness in the bottle itself. The mold seam stops about here. And then when you look in this thing, you see all kinds of nice looking bubbles There's also some haze and crud because I didn't get it terribly clean, but look at this. There's the bubbles. There's also the little imperfections and bumps where there's like little grits and dirt that's in there. And then on the bottom, it almost looks like a panel mark. I'm not 100% sure, but there is a little bit of, I don't know what you want to call it, like a rough spot right here. But then you have this seam that comes back to here, so I'm not sure of the process. That may be a panel mark. As it sits, I'm going to say that this bottle can be anywhere between 1860 and maybe the 1890. But it's one of the older ones. Even though it's a slick, I just like the character with all the different stretching and bubbles and everything about this. And a very nice color as well. So that's one of my favorite things from the trip. Let's talk about this. This here is a Wild West era milk glass spittoon. 100% complete. I could not believe it when I flipped it and it was not broken. There's no markings on it. You could see how clean this thing is. How does stuff like this survive? Like at James A. Garfield commemorative plate from a few videos ago. But keeping with the theme of the 1800s, and then what I'm going to show you next, this is amazing. I was so happy to find this. Isn't that weird? Something that people spit in, I'm happy to find it, but it's a nice piece of history, I think. Then these shells. All right, what we have here are Swiss-made rimfire rifle cartridges. In Switzerland, these are known as the 10.4 by 38 millimeter R, or rimfire. When they were exported to the United States, they were the 41 caliber Swiss. These rounds were produced between 1869 and 1889. The bullet weight is said to be 334 grain, and the velocity would be 1,345 feet per second. These went to a rifle called the Vetterli. When the Swiss phased the Vetterli out of military service, that's when they started exporting everything to the United States. And I think that happened in 1889. So these particular cartridges, likely from right around that time. What else? They were manufactured in the Thun Arsenal in Bern, Switzerland, and that opened in 1819. And I think that's about it for these things. Oh, I did want to show you the stamp on the back, if it will focus. You see a circle with a plus. That's actually the Swiss flag, and that's how I knew exactly what I was looking at. So these things are all kinds of awesome right there. And oh yeah, how could we forget a little host of perfume bottles. This one's from the 60s. This one's probably substantially older. And then this one had a little bit of detail as well. What else? Oh yeah, the body. I cleaned this up. Look at this guy. I have never seen an action figure that has so many points of articulation in my life. Even the chest is articulated. And what this says on the back is Mattel, and it's 1975. If you know what this was, I tried to look it up. I can't figure it out for the life of me. But that's that. Oh yeah, a little bit cobalt blue. What's this say? Baltimore, Maryland on it. And that's it. I do believe that's it. If you see anything that I didn't explain, leave a message in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I plan on getting back in the river while it's low and the weather is still favorable. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to the Cuyahoga Falls Historical Society. They were there at the river, showing up as I was finishing, and they had a crew of about 30 people, some people from Stark State University, and they were doing a river cleanup, and they were getting all kinds of garbage out of the river. So kudos to them. They do have a museum, And here is the address on this card. You could go ahead and pause the screen if you're interested in checking out their museum at the Historical Society. And the hours of operation are right here. So drop in, see some good history there. Until next time, happy hunting, everybody.